Hello, this is Mark. Just wanting to go over the Chapter 13 checkpoint exercises just to make sure you understand them. This first one's checkpoint 13.1 on page 321. And it gives you some information. It says Jerry's burger and magazine budget is $12 a week. Price of a burger is $2 and the price of magazines $4. First thing I want you to do is list the combination of burgers and magazines that Jerry can afford. So what I did is set up two columns here, one for the burgers, and that's the price, and then the magazines, and that's the price. And the different combinations that equal $12. So there are four combinations here. 6 times 2 is 12, and 0 magazines, 0 burgers, and 3 magazines also equals 12. Then you get 2 burgers and 2 magazines equal 12, as well as 4 burgers and 1 magazine will equal 12. So the answer to this one would be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next it asks, what's the relative price of a magazine? Okay, so it gives us, we are given both the prices, the magazines 4 and the burgers are 2. The relative price of a magazine would be the price of a magazine divided by the price of a burger, 4 divided by 2, so the relative price of a magazine is 2. Okay, excuse me, that's 2 burgers. So the relative price, the way you would answer it, would be the relative price of magazine is 2 burgers, which we calculate right here. All right, third part, I want you to draw a graph of this. Okay, so we're able to use, we can use points off of here to draw this graph, and that's what I did. The original line is this right here, 3 to 6. Okay. And it asks to, so once we have this first curve drawn, it gives us some changes. So it says, what if the price of a magazine falls? So if the price of magazine decreases, we would shift just the bottom part of the line over to the right because they're cheaper, so we can buy more. So in this one, we would shift it over here, and then the new line would still come up to 6, but end up at 4, right here. All right, so 6 to 4 would be the first change with the price of magazines. The second scenario is if Jerry's budget for burgers and magazines increases. So this is a complete shift of the line. So in this one, we're going to guess that he can buy 1 more burger and 1 more magazine with his new income. So what we've done here is just basically a parallel shift from the original line, which is 6 and 3, now we're at 7 and 4. So the second line would be this one that's parallel to the first one. Okay, so in the first scenario, a decrease in price of magazine increases the number bought from 3 to 4. In the second scenario, where the budget increased, we're able to buy 2 more burgers and 1 more magazine. Okay. All right, so that is the first one. Now we'll slide on to 13.2. What page that's on here. And that is on page 328. Okay, so it gives us some information about Tom and Jerry's, or just Jerry's, excuse me, utility from burgers and magazines. And in this scenario, price of burgers is still $2 and the price of magazines $4, and has $12 to spend for the week. Okay, so at first ask for the marginal utility and marginal utility per dollar from burgers when he buys 4 burgers a week. Okay, so what is marginal utility when he buys 4 burgers a week? Okay, so I calculated 6, and how I got that is we get total utility at 3, which is the prior level, which is 32, and the total utility at 4, which is the level it's asking for, because marginal is the change, so we look at the difference between the prior level and the current level. Okay, so 38 minus 32 would be the change. So that's how we get 6 for the marginal utility. Okay. Second, ask for the marginal utility per dollar. So we just take the marginal utility and divide it by the price of $2, and that gives us 3 per dollar. Marginal utility per dollar is 3. And then what else does it ask? Then it asks for marginal utility when he buys 1 per week. Okay, so we go to from 0 to 1 is the change we're looking at here. Okay, so the utility, marginal utility would then be 100, and the marginal utility per dollar for magazines will be the 100 utility divided by the price of the magazine of 4, gives us 25 per dollar. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2, if Jerry buys 4 burgers and 1 magazine a week, does he maximize his total utility? Okay, his utilities not maximized because your marginal utilities are equal when utilities being maximized. Okay, so it is not. So the second part says to maximize total utility, we buy more or fewer burgers, and explain. Okay, so by setting up a table here, what I did is I took the information that was given and I had to create some marginal utility columns for it. So here's the quantity and price which were given, and then I was able to calculate the marginal utility from that. Okay, so at quantity 1, it is our utility, marginal utility is 14 because we went from 0 to 14. And then at 2, our marginal utility is 10 because we went from 14 to 24. And marginal utility at 3, 24 to 32 is 8. And to get to 4 from 3 would be a 6-unit increment in marginal utility. So that's how I got those values for marginal utility of burgers. Then for magazines, very similar approach. From 0 to 1 is 100, 100 to 120 is 20, 120 to 134 is 14, and 134 to 144 is 14, which is 10. Okay, so what we're trying to find out is maximize our maximization point, where the marginal utility per dollar equals on each of these. And if we look at our table, we can see that the marginal utility is equal at a quantity of 2. The marginal utility of burgers is 5, and the marginal utility of magazines is also 5. So our answer then would be maximize at 2 burgers and 2 magazines. And that should do it for 13.2. Now we'll look at 13.3. That is on page 332. And that gives us some information again. That says in a year, Tony rents 50 DVDs at $3 and pays $50 for 10,000 gallons of tap water. Is he maximizing utility? Okay, if Tony's marginal utility from water is 0.5 unit per gallon, what is marginal utility from DVD rental? Okay, we'll look at part 1. See if Tony's maximizing utility. Okay, so again, we maximize where the marginal utility per dollar is equal. And the formula for that would be marginal utility of DVD over the price of DVD equals marginal utility of water over the price of water. Okay, we're not given the marginal utility of DVD, but we're given the price. We are given the marginal utility of water. And we have to do a small calculation on the water to get the price because it's per gallon. So we take the $50 divided by the 10,000 gallons to give us 0.005 per gallon. Okay, now that we have just the one unknown, which is what we're looking for, we can solve. So we multiply 3 times 1.5 to give us 1.5. And then divide that by 0.005, and that gives us 300. So we maximize utility at the level of 300. And that is really the main part of 13.3 I really wanted to cover. There are some other parts here, but This is really the main gist of it here. And just make sure you, when it's asking for things in specific units, that you convert it over, because it's been really easy. A lot of students in the past have just put the $50 here when you really have to put it in this term. So just pay attention to that part. That does it for the exercise in Chapter 13. I hope this was of help, and good luck in your studies.